Hello and welcome back to Elevate Your Mind with Ale. Today we'll be talking about the full moon in Capricorn and the energy of it. The energy is going to be repressed and resigned. So the message that I have for you is to release trying to control everything and everyone and find a balance between the demands of work and home. Since you know the full moon is all about forgiveness, don't forget to do your forgiveness ceremony and to be grateful for everything that you are doing, everything that you have, and everything that you have surpassed. This full moon is especially going to be good for Taurus, Cancers, Virgos, Scorpios, Capricorns, and Pisces, and it will be much more challenging for everyone else. Now, I have 5 questions that you should ask yourself, and that is, have I been ambitious to the point of ruthlessness? Have I been obsessed with work to be detriment of my personal? Have I been obsessed with the work to the detriment of my personal life? Have I been hard-headed, hard-nosed, or just hard on others? Have I allowed my head to overrule my heart? And have I been planning my life enough or too much? Sometimes we tend to be too focused and too ruthless, and this is a time to think about those kind of things. Now, I want you to get a piece of paper out or anything where you can jot down some of these questions that I'm throwing at you so you can ask yourself these questions and you can honestly answer them because this is for your own good. Okay, so let me start by asking you if you know your rising sign, and if you do, then that's fantastic. If you don't, go ahead and pause the video and figure that out. You will need your birthday, where you were born, and the time that you were born. And then after that, you can come back. This is basically a guide on how the full moon in each house affects you personally, and that's based on what rising sign you have. So depending on what rising sign you have, you're going to focus on one part of your 12 houses. And that is why I'm asking you if you know what your rising sign is, so you know what to focus on this full moon in Capricorn. In this video, I'll let you know what you probably have in store for the following 2 weeks, an emotion that is probably going to happen, the main message that I have for you, and something that you should have a balance in. And since we are talking about the full moon, and the full moon is all about forgiveness, then I will let you know something that you should forgive. And of course, I'll even tell you my recommendation on a mantra and an affirmation, and that will conclude what I'm going to give you as an information. You can stick around for all 12 houses, but you don't have to, and you can just jump right into your rising sign. Anyways, if you found this video informative, go ahead and like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get right onto it with the first house. Okay, so this full moon in Capricorn, if you are Capricorn rising, you need to focus on your first house. And I've said this many times, the first house is about the image. It's your image zone. The first house rules the way you come across to others, your image, and the way others see you. So in the coming 2 weeks, expect to turn the corner in one way or another in your personal or even on your professional life, because it's all about your image and you, right? And an emotion that might come up this full moon is that it can bring up an intense feeling about your appearance or stresses and strains in a relationship, and it can be a big turning point, so just watch out for that. The main message that I have for you is that it's all very well and lovely to be focused on someone else. It certainly sounds like a valid thing, right? Once a year, the full moon lights up your first house to remind you that you also need to focus on yourself. Sometimes we tend to just worry about others, do it for others, literally live for others, and not realize how much time we are not putting on ourselves, how much we're not giving to ourselves. And this is the perfect time for you to realize that if you have been slacking on that department, this is the time for you to focus on you. Now, many of us are givers rather than takers, right? And while that sounds great, it actually messes with the flow in our life. The full moon in your first house is the time to remember how to say yes when people offer to help you, and to ask for help if you need it, and if you're not getting it, ask for it. If your husband's not helping you, ask for help. If you're a new parent and you need some help from your parents, from your friends, from your siblings, literally anyone, ask. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Sometimes it feels like, well, if I ask for help, I'm gonna seem weak or like I can't do it. Okay, you need the help. Ask for it. You might even feel a bit emotional during this cycle, but a lot of the stuff that is coming up for you needs to be dealt with. So don't run away from it and deal with it. Release any issues you have about your appearance. Sometimes whenever we think that we're either too fat, too thin, or too anything else, can negatively impact our life and stop us from getting out there and reaching our full potential. So stop doing that. Work on yourself and find at least one or two things about yourself that you know are totally gorgeous, no matter what others feel you might have. And this is regarding your looks. So focus on what you love. Play it up. This is an important and somehow extra personal full moon because it's a time for you to pay attention to yourself. Use it to work on what you want to take with you into your next 12-month life cycle, and what you and who you want to leave behind. This can be a very emotional time, so just breathe, okay? A tug of war may arise between your needs and those of the people who are most important to you. So find a balance between your lover, your partner, your ex, basically anyone else in your life who counts as a VIP and is important to you, and you. This can be a time when you realize you've been too focused on someone else and it is time to focus on yourself for a while. Or totally contrariwise, it can be a time when you realize you've been acting a little selfishly and need to give someone else your time and attention. It's all about me and you, much as it is in the 7th house. The full moon in 6 months will be in your 7th house, right? So you'll be able to think about this again within 6 months. This is your chance to make a twice a yearly adjustment. Now, I need you, out of all of the people out there, out of all of the things out there, I need you this full moon in Capricorn to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for anything you think you've done. Forgive yourself for anything that you think you haven't been able to do. Just forgive yourself. We are all humans. We all make mistakes, okay? And you will learn from it, and you will move on, and you will do better. Now, the full moon is also about being grateful. So be grateful. Write your gratitude list and then safely burn it. The mantra that I have for you is the mantra RAM. You can chant it out loud, silently, every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right for you. Okay? Now, the affirmation that I have for you to say on the night of the full moon is, I am turning the corner. And whenever you say it, you need to feel it. You don't just say it like you're saying something. You need to give it some feeling, some power to it. I am turning the corner, and be proud of yourself. Okay? I believe in you, and you should believe in you. And that is all that I have for you. Till next time. Bye. Alright, so this full moon in Capricorn is in your 7th house if you are Sagittarius rising. So hello there, Sagittarius rising. You are going to be focusing on your 2nd house, which is known as your cash, your property, and your value zone. And as you may know, the 2nd house rules property, possessions, and is also about the values and your self-esteem. So for the following 2 weeks, breathe through any financial dramas and focus on finding a solution. Now, This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your financial security and stability, and about your self-worth. So the message that I have for you is, this full moon reminds you that a balance is needed between what you do for yourself financially and what you do for others. There's your income to be considered and your depths. There's your self-worth and what you think you're worth as a person, and there's what others are willing to pay you, which is usually based on what you ask for, at least within reason, right? If you're about to make a major purchase, you're doing it at the right time. If you've been letting someone control you because they have financial power over you around the time of your second house full moon, it's your chance to break free. So this is a perfect time to break free. The full moon is also reminding you that you need to take care of your intimate life. Don't neglect it because of worldly concerns. Face it straight on. You can do this. Remember, self-worth is tied to money, to income. So if you're having money problems, if you're having intimacy problems, this can affect money because of your self-worth. So you need to work on those things. Release any issue you have about money. The second house is all about cash, property, and possessions. So at this time, there could be some kind of climax or conclusion connected to cash. If you've been being fearful regarding cash lately, work with this full moon and the associated affirmation that I will let you know to release that. You can move into a better financial cycle now. One thing to be strongly aware of is that your self-esteem will affect how much cash you attract. So, work on your self-esteem. And a tug of war may arise between your own money and what other people pay you or even owe you. So just be on a lookout. Find a balance between any issue you have regarding give and take. If you want to earn your own cash rather than be employed by someone else, this is a very good time to plan your exit strategy or cut the ties. If you've been too focused or dependent on someone else, now is the time to bring your attention back to your own situation. It's a good time to get your head around the idea that the universe is abundant and that there's more than enough for everyone. You deserve to be abundant. You deserve to feel abundant. Now, the full moon is the perfect time for you to take some time and to forgive. And I want you to forgive yourself and anyone else you need to for times when money has been an issue. We all make mistakes, and we all need to know that we need to forgive ourselves when we make those mistakes. And of course, forgive others. Now, the full moon is also the perfect time to be grateful. So, be grateful. Make your gratitude list, and then you can safely burn it. The mantra that I have for you on this full moon in Capricorn is the mantra Lamb. You can chant it out loud or silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right to you. And this is going to help you to calm you down, to feel more security about yourself and your self-worth. Now, the last thing that I have for you is the affirmation that I was talking about. And this affirmation, you can say it on the night of the full moon, and that is, all my needs are met. I am worth it. And whenever you say these affirmations, whenever you say this affirmation, or any affirmation for that matter, you need to say it knowing that you are deserving of what you're saying. You can't just say something and not feel it. Like, you can't just say I'm happy and truly not feel happy, if that makes any sense, because it's like you're lying to yourself. You need to trick your brain basically into believing that it's true so you can manifest it. That's kind of how manifestation works. Anyways, that is all that I have for you, Sagittarius rising. I'll see you on the next video. Bye. Alright, if you are a Scorpio rising, you will need to focus on your third house this full moon in Capricorn. Now, the third house is the communication zone. The third house is where you keep your communication skills, and it's also about your short trips, siblings, and your neighbors. So, Scorpio rising, for the coming 2 weeks, you could say more than you mean to, so watch your mouth. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about siblings and even neighbors, and about whether or not you should be honest about how you feel. It's all very well dreaming of the great escape when you and possibly a loved one or two decide to take off to see the world, or at least a close by place. But what about the details? This full moon reminds you that there's a lot of work to be done close to home, things that need to be taken care of, and items on your to-do list to be ticked off. It's also a celestial reminder that you seriously need to express yourself. If you haven't been honest about how you feel, now is the time to start saying your piece. Whether you're talking about face-to-face, Facebooking, emailing, tweeting, or whatever it is kind of communication, say it in a way where you get your message across, but not in a rude way. Dramas with siblings are highlighted now and can be sorted out. So even if a problem comes up, you can fix it. You can work around it. Release any issues you have about communication with your siblings or even your neighbors. Be extra careful not to allow disagreements to escalate out of control. And for some, the full moon here will reveal the information that is needed to solve a long-standing problem or query. Be careful what you write down on paper, in an email, in a text, social media, basically anywhere at this time. Emotions are running high, so don't hit send and then regret it. Problems with siblings and neighbors can come to a head now too. Issues can be resolved with forgiveness. Remember, it's often less what you say than how you say it. A tug of war may arise between where you are and where you think you would like to be. So find a balance between your backyard and the big wide world out there. This is also a full moon that can trigger some kind of development or resolution regarding a legal issue. Distant friends and relatives can loom larger, as can trips away and job opportunities. Where do you want to be? Here or there? Now, the full moon is all about forgiveness. So I want you to forgive yourself for any negative words you've spoken. Forgive your neighbors and siblings for any upsets. Now, the full moon is also about being grateful. So be grateful. Make your gratitude list. Even if you are having such a hard time and you don't have what you want, you still have more than others. The mantra that I have for you this month is the mantra hum. Chant it out loud or speak it silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right for you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Scorpio rising, is your affirmation. And this affirmation, you can say it on the night of the full moon, and that is, I express myself with love. Life brings me all I need. Now, whenever you say this affirmation or any affirmation at all, you need to say it with like passion, with feelings. Feel yourself with love. Fill yourself with life. So you can, even if you don't feel it, like truly deep down, make yourself feel it so you can trick your body and your mind into believing it. Now that is all that I have for you, Scorpio rising. We are off to the next one. Alright, if you are a Libra rising, this full moon and Capricorn, you need to focus on your fourth house. And the fourth house is about home and family. The fourth house is a part of your chart that is about your home, your family, and all that entails basically your private life. So for the coming 2 weeks, you need to pay attention to what your family needs and your own needs for personal space and even private time. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your family. So just give a quick prayer and bless them, okay? Working like a dog to achieve your personal goals sounds like a very good thing, right? But There's a time and a place for everything, and at this time of your fourth house full moon, you're in a cycle when the planet, the sun and the moon in particular, are suggesting that you need to find a balance between your outer aims and goals and your inner needs. Perhaps your family needs you to spend more time with them, or perhaps you just need some time with nothing on your mind. Take a look at your family relationships and ascertain if everything is running as smoothly as you'd like. If not, this is a time to pour some energy into that part of your life. Now, release any issue you have about your personal life, home, family. Issues to do with your family can come up now, so just be ready. Don't dread this. Rather, see it as a chance to sort out any outstanding upsets. Our family members are people with whom we have a very karmic connection, and any issues that come up to do so can help us evolve. This full moon here can also be a time when we make changes to where we live. If you're not sure about the best way forward regarding your home or where you call home, meditate on it and ask your archangels, goddesses, your guides, literally whoever you want to call upon, for any direction. Issues and projects connected to the home can be resolved now. A tug of war may arise between what you want to achieve in your life professionally, and what you're required to do at home. So find a balance between your personal life and your career. Maybe you're a driven person who forgets to have a personal life and neglects your partner, your friends, your family while working long hours. Or perhaps you're a family type who knows you have more to offer the world. Either way, this is your time to strike a balance. Ambition and family work well together. Success can allow you to spoil your loved ones, and your desire to provide for your family can be inspiring ambition. Now, the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So, forgive yourself for any upsets you have had with family or even roommates. Make your home a peaceful sanctuary and be grateful. Make a gratitude list. Now, the mantra that I have for you on this full moon in Capricorn is Om. You can chant it out loud or even silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right to you, and as many times as you want to say it a day. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Libra rising, is your affirmation. And this affirmation, you can say it on the night of the full moon, and that is, I am safe and secure. Now, every single time that you are saying an affirmation, say it with passion, say it with emotion, say it with love, say it truly feeling whatever it is you're saying. So whenever you say I am safe and secure, truly feel it, to give it some feeling to it. That is all that I have for you, Libra rising. I will see you on the next video. Okay, so if you are a Virgo rising, this full moon in Capricorn, you need to focus on your 5th house, also known as your kids, romance, and creativity zone. The 5th house is a part of your chart relating to sexy romance, creativity, and children, and whether that is your children or others if you don't have any kids. For the following 2 weeks, you need to check whether you're having enough fun, because fun is good for us and you need some fun. Everybody needs some fun. Don't just work, or just stay at home and do nothing. You need to have some fun, okay? You need to have some fun times. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about an issue to do with the child. Again, whether that is your own or someone else's, your love life, or even a creative project that you might be working on. There's usually a whole lot of emotions going on in your chart, in your life at the time of the full moon in your 5th house of self-expression. You could be pouring your heart out, perhaps because you're sad, or maybe because you have a lot of emotions to download. And some of us, it's about the joy that a child can bring. And for others, it's about pouring emotion into a creative project we're working on. And while this is going on, you need to find a balance between yourself and your friends. Don't neglect them completely. This is your challenge for the coming month. So you're basically going to focus on either kids, romance, or some kind of creative project. You're going to need to release any issue you have about allowing yourself some time off. This past few weeks may well have seen you working very hard, but now you may feel put upon the need to look after your friends. Turn that around if you can and make this a very sociable time in which the person having the most fun is you and not the other way around. Any issue related to a child, whether it's your own or someone else's, can come to a peak right now. Hopefully for resolutions in a way that makes everyone happy. If you have a creative project on the boil, it is a very good time to complete the latest stage of it and even finish it off altogether. Now, a tug of war may arise between what your friends need and what you need for yourself. Self-expression is a focus, as are kids and creative projects. So, find a balance between how much you cater to the needs of the group and social circles to which you belong versus how often you are taking center stage. Being yourself, speaking up, letting the world know what you have to offer. It's safe to be with lots of people doing what they do, but this is a time to show the world who you are. So show up for yourself. It's a love affair. If a love affair ends now, it is doing so at the right time. One that starts now could be a very feeling-filled relationship that may even wax and wane with the moon. So just be cautious of that. Since the full moon is all about forgiveness, I want you to forgive anyone who drags you down, yourself, or any time you felt you were not a great parent, or at any time you took life too serious. And the full moon is also the perfect time for you to be grateful. So be grateful and make your gratitude list. Whenever we make our gratitude list, it's not just to make it. It's not just something that people say to do. It's so you can see visually what you're proud of. Because sometimes people are a visual. You have to see it and read it off of a paper to even realize, wow, like I am grateful. Like I'm grateful that I have the time to spend with my kids. I'm grateful that I have all this creativity. I'm grateful that I am in a romantic relationship with my partner. Like I'm so grateful for that. And sometimes you just gotta write it down so you yourself can prove to yourself how much gratitude you actually have. Anyways, the mantra that I have for you this month is the mantra BAM. You can chant it out loud, you can speak it silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right for you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Virgo rising, is your affirmation. You can say it on the night of the full moon in Capricorn, and that is, I am a creative being. Because you are. We all are. We are all creative. We just creative in different ways. Okay? That's all that I have for you, Virgo rising. We are off to the next one. Hello there, Leo rising. This full moon in Capricorn, you are going to focus on your 6th house since you are a Leo rising. The 6th house is known as the daily work and health zone. The 6th house rules your body and your mind, your well-being, your daily work, and even your health routines. So in the coming 2 weeks, find a way to bring peace into your life. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about what you do every day to earn a living, and it can also herald fears about health, which may well be totally unfounded, and you need to go get a checkup. If you're one of the lucky ones, you've been working on yourself. This full moon, when you see yourself for who you really are, you therefore see your good points as well as your flaws, and you decide to do something about your flaws. This is all about the daily life you lead. Are you living in a healthy fashion? Are you getting out and about to exercise? Have you long ago given up bad habits such as smoking, partying too much, all those bad things that you know you shouldn't be doing? If not, then this full moon is your annual chance to start again when it comes to taking care of yourself. That is, body, mind, and spiritually. Routines are your friend at this full moon. At work, go slow and steady. Release any issues you have about habits that you need to break. This part of your chart is concerned with the daily rhythms of your life. If you're not happy with the way you're doing things, with the way your life is going along, with your morning or evening routines, this is the full moon to tune into, to let go of the old ways and start to do them differently. In particular, any unhealthy or even toxic habits should be released right now. Be it about not drinking enough water, drinking too much alcohol, or not having enough exercise, eating too much, or not even eating enough. Our daily habits impact our health, and your sixth house is about habits and health, right? So look after your habits and your health, because it's not going to take care of yourself. You only have one body. You can't just do whatever you want with this body and then go to the store and buy another one. No, you gotta take care of your body, because no one else will. You need to. You're responsible. A tug of war may arise between your need to deal with the real world and do your duty, and your needs to find some peaceful time out. So, find a balance between your daily grind and the mysterious cosmos. Yes, you heard that correctly. Most of us have a daily grind of some kind, things we need to do, responsibilities we have to take care of, duties we can't avoid, and then there's the bliss, the peace, the time out, the meditation, the contemplation, the great void or the gap, the mysterious place in the universe where we can just be. Introducing a daily meditation or yoga practice can really help with balancing things up at this time of the full moon in your sixth house. In fact, I honestly highly recommend it. If you still haven't meditated, then this is your sign. I'm telling you to do it. Meditate. Try it out. And don't just do it for one day. Do it every single day. It's a habit. It's a routine. Now, the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So, forgive the people you see every day who annoy you in the little ways. Quite possibly in much the same way that you might annoy them, honestly. Forgive yourself for any unhealthy habits and make some changes and move on. Okay? This is really important. Move on. And of course, like I said, be grateful. Make your gratitude list. Write down everything that you are grateful for and read it. Read over it. Now the mantra that I have for you is hum. You can chant it out loud, you can speak it silently every day while you are in the shower, before or after you meditate, or any time that feels right for you. And the last thing that I have for you, Leo rising, is your affirmation for this full moon in Capricorn, and that is, I am in perfect health. Because you need to get in perfect health if you're not already in perfect health. Okay? Now that's all that I have for you, Leo rising. See you on the next one. Alright, so if you are a Cancer rising, this full moon in Capricorn, you need to focus on your 7th house, also known as your love zone. The 7th house is about marriage. Your beloved, your ex, people you consider enemies, commitments, and VIPs. So for the coming 2 weeks, Cancer rising, expect relationship issues to come to the forefront. Now, this full moon can bring up intense feelings about your love life, so be on the lookout for that. This full moon suggests it's time for you to step aside a little. It's time to invest some emotional time to invest some emotional energy into your other half, whether that is your marriage partner, your significant other, or into other people in your life, like your business partner, your friend, or even in some advisor or coach. Me is fine at the right time. but now it should be all about someone else. At the very least, there should be a balance if someone else needs your attention. This full moon can also bring closure. So if you're in a relationship or a friendship that's ending right now, go ahead and proceed, knowing that you finished things up at the exact right time, celestially speaking, of course. Release any issue you have about love, relationship. This can mean your present romantic situations or one from the past. The whole point of relationships on a karmic level seems to be about us mere mortals learning lessons through other people, right? Someone who pushes our buttons is going to teach us a lot more about ourselves and how to handle ourselves than someone who doesn't. And that's why so many wonderful relationships are quite intense at times. That's the result of two souls evolving and learning to love through the tough times. The full moon in the 7th house can also be a time when we decide to serve ties on a relationship that has reached its use by date, and that's okay too. So some people come to us for a reason, some for a season, as the saying goes. Sometimes we come across someone and they're in our life for 1 minute, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, and then you never see each other again. And it's because it's only meant for that amount of time. Any kind of relationship and friendship that you come across is basically a lesson for you. And how you handle it is, if you're going to, how you handle it can benefit either in a good way or in a bad way. If you, say you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and y'all break up because he or she isn't doing something that you like, and then you go again with someone else and it's basically the exact same situation, and I feel like it's because we haven't yet learned how to overcome that. We haven't yet learned to see the clues. Okay, well, this person was like this, they treated me like this, they talked to me like this. I'm gonna not look for that in a person whenever I get with someone else, Everything is basically given to us. We just have to look, pay attention, and grow from it and evolve. A tug of war may arise between what you need and what your partner or boss or your best friend or anyone else needs. So find a balance between thinking of yourself and thinking of someone else. This emotional full moon in your 7th house puts the spotlight on how you feel about someone important to you. This is also a very good time to practice your negotiation and compromising skills. Whether the relationship is in question is with your lover, your partner, your ex, your business partner, or an advisory. See what you can do to find common ground, and you will have milked the best of this full moon. Now, like I've said many times, the full moon is a monthly reminder to us to forgive. And Cancer rising, at this time, I want you to forgive anyone and everyone who isn't you, and then forgive yourself for any relationship mistakes you think you've made. Believe it or not, there really is no such thing as a mistake. Everything happens for a reason, and everything is perfect and just as it should be. Okay? Now, the full moon is also about being grateful, so be grateful. Make your gratitude list. And the mantra that I have for you this month is yum. You can chant it out loud. You can say it silently every day while you are in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right to you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Cancer rising, on this full moon in Capricorn is affirmation. You can say this affirmation on the night of the full moon in Capricorn, and that is, I am loved, I'm loving, I am lovable, because you are. Now that is all that I have for you, Cancer Rising, and I'm off to the next one. Hello there, Gemini Rising. This full moon in Capricorn, you need to focus on your 8th house, also known as your sex and shared financial zone. The 8th house is about anything that is taboo, such as sex, death, and taxes, and also other people's money and how it is joined financially with you. Now, in the coming 2 weeks, you need to sort out your feelings about sex and money. So this full moon can bring up intense feelings about your sex life and your finances. Find a balance between what you give in life and what you take. If you know you've been doing too much of either, this full moon is most certainly the time to redress the balance. The problem is that when we give too much but don't know how to take, we actually mess with the natural laws that govern free flow. How can the universe send you an abundant stream of good things if you are not receiving them without a fight? This full moon can also herald a very good period to attend to practical financial matters, such as paying off debts and settling personal bills. Release any issue you have about anything that's holding you back or boggling you down or stopping you from living the life you want. The 8th house is all about death and rebirth, reinvention and transformation, and it can be a scary part of the chart. After all, is where death and taxes reside, and those subjects can come up when this part of your chart is being triggered. Don't worry though, this full moon happens here once a year at least, and you're certainly not likely to have to deal with the heaviest aspect of it annually. Rather, look at the full moon here as a chance to transform as a person. It's also about cash, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit. A tug of war may arise between your money and where your money meets someone else's. So find a balance between how much you think you're worth and how much you're actually being remunerated for your efforts at work. It's about self-worth versus the worth someone else puts on you. It's also about being your own boss financially versus depending on others to pay you. Your salary, your debts, anything really. Financial windfalls and inheritance aren't out of the question. When this part of the chart is active, this part is also about sex and issues around sex and sexuality. And this can come up. This is good because it is the right time to deal with them and then move on. Now, the full moon is the perfect time to forgive. So, forgive anyone you feel has overstepped the mark, hurt you, or broken a taboo. Also, forgive yourself for any problems you have had with money that you blame yourself for. We all make mistakes, and we're human, okay? So, forgive and be grateful. Be grateful and make your gratitude list. Read it, over it, and know just how much you actually are grateful and abundant. The mantra that I have for you is BAM. You can chant it out loud, you can say it silently while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right for you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Gemini Rising, is an affirmation. And this affirmation, you can say it on the night of the full moon in Capricorn, and that is, I shed my past and I evolve. Since we are talking about the 8th house, right? We're meant to evolve every single year. Now, that is all that I have for you, Gemini Rising. I will see you on the next videos. Okay, so if you are a Taurus rising, this full moon in Capricorn, you need to focus on your 9th house, also known as the big picture zone. The 9th house is where you see the big picture. Expand your horizons, whether that is your study, you travel, and obviously the great cosmic quest. Now, in the coming 2 weeks, you are going to deal with worries you have connected to study, travel, and the great cosmic quest. And this full moon can bring up intense feelings about where you're going. like your life philosophies, your personal growth, religion. This is going to connect you with, this is talking about your personal growth, religion, philosophy, publishing, the internet, travel, study. They're just some of the subjects looming large for you when the full moon takes place in your ninth house. So ask yourself about all of this and what your intake is on these topics. Be honest with yourself. Have you been fussing too much over the details of your latest projects or even your tasks? Sometimes that's just a delay tactic, and we need to take a step back and look at the big picture of where we are and where we want to be. Are your life and your mind expanding, or are they narrowing? If you stopped being adventurous, then you only have yourself to blame. This is a great time to try something that lies beyond your usual realm of every day. Try something new. Try something that you haven't done. Release any issues you have about the grass being greener on the other side. This full moon here means it's time for you to see the bigger picture of your life. You may be having a crisis and wondering whether this is all there is. Take a moment to see the broader view. Hopefully doing so will prompt you to count your blessings. This is also a good time for you to think about whether you want to get away from all of it or stay right where you are. Will the grass be greener if you go away? If you're staying at home, someone abroad could also have your attention. There's no way of telling. Also, at this time, legal issues can resolve themselves or at least come to you. A tug of war may arise between being here and wanting to be there, being torn between home and away, small ideas versus big ideas. And whenever I say being here or being there, it means you wanting to be somewhere else. So you are basically either contemplating on staying at home, being at home, or traveling the world, or visiting the world, or whatever. That's what I mean. Find a balance between your thoughts and your faith. This is a chance for you to let go of fear and limiting ideas and to accept the concept of power bigger than all of us out in the great unknown. If you're going through a dark night of the soul at the time of your ninth house, at least take some solace in the fact that your timing is perfectly, cosmically speaking. This is a chance for you to grow spiritually and to expand your understanding of the world around you. Open yourself up to new ideas. Now, the full moon is about forgiveness. So, forgive people who are narrow-minded and yourself if you've been narrow-minded. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list. Now, the mantra that I have for you is chant it out loud. You can say it silently every day while you are in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right to you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Taurus rising, is an affirmation that you can say on the nights of the full moon in Capricorn, and that is, I know I am blessed. Alright, well, that's it for you, Taurus rising. Off to the next one. Alright, so if you are Aries rising, on this full moon in Capricorn, you need to focus on your 10th house, also known as your career zone. The 10th house rules ambitions, careers, your life goals, and what you're known for, basically your professional life. In the coming 2 weeks, sort out any issues related to your work. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your career and professional trajectory. If you've been hiding yourself away and generally keeping a low profile, watch out. The skies are suggesting rather loudly that it is time for you to step out of the shadows and back into the limelight. As tempting as it might be to slouch around at home, this full moon in your 10th house is telling you that it is time to invest some emotional energy in your professional life. Even if your work has been the source of annoyance lately, don't give up. For some, a work situation or project can come up to an end, so don't panic. Remember, the universe harbors a vacuum and something new will come in to take this place soon enough, so don't worry. How committed are you to your goals? This can be your time to shine at work. When the full moon takes place in your 10th house, aka your career zone, it is as though you're being pushed into the spotlight professionally. Ready or not, for some of us it would be because a big work project is coming to fruition, and hopefully you will receive what you are owed for all of your hard work. On the other hand, if a project or a job is coming to an end now, there's at least consolations in the fact that it has happened in divine timing. This is a good time to ask yourself how you feel about your career. Where do you want to go next with it? Release any issue you have about your workload and how it impacts your home life. A tug of war may arise between your duties at home and all that you need to do to get ahead in your career. So, find a balance between who you are inside versus who you are out in the world. As someone who does or doesn't seek to achieve, as with the full moon in the 4th house, this lunation asks you to find a work-life balance. There could be tension or demands at home that are affecting your ability to function at peak level at work. Or work dramas could be keeping you from living a rich personal life. Whatever the case, to find a balance, for some, recognition comes now. For others, it's because it becomes clear then more emotional investment is needed professionally. Now, I've said that the full moon is all about forgiveness. So, forgive anyone you feel has done you wrong professionally and yourself for any untoward behavior at work ever. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list. Now, the mantra that I have for you is a mantra Lamb. You can chant it out loud. You can say it silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right to you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Aries rising, is an affirmation. And this affirmation, you can say it on the nights of the full moon in Capricorn, and that is, I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give a perfect service for perfect pay. So basically what that's saying is that you get paid for what you do. Alright, well that is all for you, Aries rising. Off to the next one. Alright, so if you are a Pisces rising, this full moon in Capricorn, you need to focus on your 11th house, also known as your friend zone. The 11th house is a house of hopes and wishes, and it rules friends, connections, and your social circles. So, in the coming 2 weeks, deal with any upsets that you have with friends. This full moon can bring intense feelings about friendships and unfulfilled dreams, and it's tempting to focus on yourself and your own pleasures. Perhaps you're a creative type who loves to express yourself, and why not, right? After all, life is for living and having fun. However, this month's full moon in your 11th house is reminding you that you need to find a balance between indulging in a little bit of what you fancy and remembering that people in your life also need some attention from you. Whatever you do now for someone else, you'll get extra karmic brownie points, so yay for you. This also makes this coming month good for networking, so go out there and network. What are you dreaming of? And do you know anyone who can help you get it and achieve it? This full moon here casts a warm and gentle light on your wishes. Are they working for you? Are you getting what you're dreaming of? And if not, why do you think that is? It's a strange but true fact that sometimes we just know we're going to get what we're paying lip service to wishing for. Sometimes we know on an intuitive level that something is never going to happen, or perhaps we no longer want what we once desired. The full moon in your 11th house is the ideal time to release anything like this into the ether. The part of your chart is also crucial about friends and networks. How are you with your friends now? Are you happy with them? Would you like to make new friends? Issues related to friends can arise at this time. Just take a deep breath before you deal with them. A friendship that ends at this full moon is definitely ending at the right cosmic time. So just let that friend go. Release any issues you have about what you've been wishing for, and those dreams that don't seem to manifest, or friendships that are troubling you. A tug of war may arise between who you are versus who your friends are. So find a balance between what you need for yourself versus what you need to do for and give to your friends. The 11th house is about the club, the groups, the social networks you belong to. When the full moon falls here, chances are that you will have at least one friendship that needs your attention. So be on the lookout for that. Are you pulling your weight within your group of friends? Or does someone have cause for complaint? Or is it you who feels someone else could be a better friend? This full moon here reminds you that you have to balance your own needs with those of your social circles, networks, and your groups. Now, the full moon is all about forgiving. So, forgive any friend who hurt you at any point in your life and yourself for whatever you feel you did or didn't do in relation to that friendship. Okay? Now, the full moon is also the perfect time to be grateful. So, be grateful. Make your gratitude list. The mantra that I have for you this month is Om. You can chant it out loud. You can say it silently. You can do it every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right to you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Pisces rising, is an affirmation. And this affirmation, you can say it on the night of the full moon in Capricorn, and that is, I am a great friend and I attract great friends. You can say that one, and you can also say, my dreams and wishes are now manifesting. You can say either or, you can say both. You can do whatever you want, okay? So that's all that I have for you, Pisces. See you on the next one. Okay, so if you are Aquarius rising, this full moon in Capricorn, you need to focus on your 12th house, also known as your secret zone. The 12th house is the deepest and most sensitive part of your chart, and it relates to fears and spirituality and what's hidden. Now, for the coming 2 weeks, you need to take time out. Time out for you. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your secret self, so be on the lookout for that. Life has probably felt very busy recently, and no one can blame you for wanting to take care of yourself and take some time out. This full moon in your 12th house is going to allow you to do just that. For many people, this full moon comes at a time when they're feeling a little bit down in the dumps, but the fact is, they're likely just exhausted after the effort of keeping up with the demands of your daily life. Take some time out. Meditate, practice yoga. You need to strike a balance between working and taking time out. The worst thing about the 12th house full moon is that it forces you to look at where you may have been sabotaging yourself with your own behavior. The best thing about the 12th house full moon is that it forces you to look at where you may have sabotaging yourself with your own behavior. Get it? Or should I say it again? The 12th house is unfortunately known as the house of self-undoing. We all have 12 houses, and we all have parts of ourselves that are indeed our own worst enemy. The good news is that when the full moon takes place in this part of your chart, it's a wonderful chance to identify the behavior, to see it for what it really is, and let it go. Release any issues you may have about things you don't like to talk about. Forgive other people for anything they have done to you, and forgive yourself for anything you've done to yourself or anyone else, overtly or covertly. A tug of war may arise between the things you have to do every day to keep life ticking off and your need for inner peace. So, find a balance between your daily life as a functioning human being and that secret side of you that's mysterious, delicate, and perhaps even a bit dark. And for some, it's what we think we should hide, and for others, it's what others, probably parents, have told us we should hide. This full moon can bring up some intense feelings, whether we like it or not. We may even find ourselves apologizing because this is the house of self-undoing. And not expressing how we feel is a wonderful way to self-undo or self-sabotage. The month when we have your personal annual full moon in the 12th house is the ideal time to go on the retreat. So if you're planning on doing a retreat, this is the perfect time. If that appeals to you, it's a time to do inner work and even to explore your spirituality. Sometimes the full moon will bring or reveal a big secret. Go ahead and go easy on yourself at this time of the year. It's one of those most emotionally intense full moons. The next one will be much easier, I promise. And the full moon, I've always said this, is about forgiving. So, like I said, forgive yourself for anything you feel ashamed of. Understand that there's nothing to be ashamed of. We're all growing. Forgive anyone else who has ever hurt you. And that doesn't mean that what they did was correct. It just means that you are understanding what they did and you are forgiving them. Now, you're not doing this for them. You're doing this for yourself. The full moon is also for being grateful. So, be grateful. Make your gratitude list and read all the things that you are grateful for. And the mantra that I have for you is the mantra Ah. You can chant it out loud. You can say it silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after you meditate, or at any time that feels right to you. Now, the last thing that I have for you, Aquarius rising, is an affirmation that you can say on the night of the full moon in Capricorn, and that is, it's okay to have quality me time. Alright, well, that is all that I have for you, Aquarius rising. Go ahead and like this video if you liked it. Comment down below anything that you want to comment, and I will see you on the following videos. Bye.